you're viewing the Parliament Channel 11, also broadcasting on 105.5 FM.
All come to order.
Can you have a seat? Good afternoon, everyone. The meeting of the Standing Finance Committee is now resumed. We are at Head 13, Office of the Prime Minister. Head 13, Office of the Prime Minister, $250,074,590. I will now invite the Prime Minister to make a brief opening statement for a maximum of 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Office of the Prime Minister, as the centre of government, is committed to being the hallmark of excellence in the public service. OPM's strategic plan focuses on achieving operational efficiency while building and enhancing the ability of the office to provide the necessary support to the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, and the public service in achieving our agreed mandate. For fiscal 2018, OPM received an allocation of $303,764,590. $242,184,590 under Recurrent, $7,890,000 under the Consolidated Fund, $53,690,000 under IDF. These allocations will go towards achieving the following: 1, restoration of our historical buildings; 2, promoting and protecting the rights of our children, women and men; 3, reducing the level of child abuse and gender-based violence; 4, improving the management and operation of our community residences and reducing the incidence of HIV. To this end, OPM will continue to meaningfully engage all stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, the question is that the sum of $250,074,590 for Head 13, the Office of the Prime Minister, stand part of the schedule. Honourable members, the sum of $250,074,590 for Head 13, the Office of the Prime Minister, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of development program. We now proceed to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure, and we are at page 58. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, page 58, item 001, General Administration. Item 002, Gender Affairs. Subhead 02, Goods and Services, item 001, General Administration, pages 59 to 60. Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Prime Minister, line item 05, 19, and 27. When the Honorable Prime Minister spoke in the budget debate, he provided us with some figures with respect to these particular line items from all the way 2012 to present day. Madam Chair, the question that I would like to ask with respect to these particular line items is that the figures that was provided to us by the Prime Minister in his budget contribution is inconsistent, what appears to be inaccurate and inconclusive. In that, if we take line item 05 first, the Hansard would reflect that the Honorable Prime Minister indicated that we were bringing that particular vote from 120 million to 35 million. However, when you look at the 2017 revised estimate, it was only 1.6 million in general administration and 30,000 in the Gender Affairs Division. How then did the Prime Minister amount to moving to 35 million when right here in black and white it says 1.6 million plus that 30,000? Then we look at...
Take it one question at a time.
Sure.
To start with that question, assuming that the member for Princestown, Madam Chair, is accurate in what he's reflecting, it actually reflects well on the Office of the Prime Minister, because if these are the estimates, they're much, much lower. So once again, we've incurred significant savings. What I can say about the historical information that was provided at the time, that information was compiled from the telephone bills, and we didn't worry to particularize at that time the telephone bills for various advisors to the then Prime Minister, various questionable office holders to the Prime Minister, and the types of bills we saw of $90,000 a month on some occasions for cell phones for some people who sit here now currently. But those figures are at $90,000 a month on some occasions. Those figures that are here now, as you are aware, these are the estimates versus the actual. So this is what we estimate to spend this year under the telephone item.
Okay, so...
Follow up to the Honourable Minister.
And also, sorry, Princestown, it also included arrears.
Sure. Madam, when we look at these figures that were provided, even the past figures... Which one are you on, telephone? We're on the same one. Yeah. The Prime Minister said in 2011, 163 million for the Office of the Prime Minister. The actual figure was 2.3. When you look at 20... Madam, the point that I'm trying to make...
Member, wait, please. What we have before us are 2016 actual, 2017 estimates, 2017 revised estimates, 2018 estimates.
Sorry.
I have nothing with 2011. But in any event, what we are discussing here are 2018 estimates. I may allow some discussion if you want to ask some reason with respect to movement from 2017 to 2018. But I'm certainly not going to allow 2017 or 2011. And as I've told members before, there are other opportunities to interrogate any other information available to members, but not in this meeting. Okay, so you want to go on to item 19 now?
Yes, madam.
Within the confines that I've set out. Yes, 19. Member for Princestown.
Official entertainment under item 19. With respect to the 2017 expenditure, we see 3 million in 2017 on official entertainment, whereas the 2017 revised estimates indicate 1.26.
Sorry, I think it's 3.6 million was the actual for 2016.
2017.
2016. Actual.
Okay. Sorry, yes, you're correct, yes.
Yeah, member, you mind, therefore, if I go on and I'll come back to you, give you an opportunity to identify your figures exactly. Member for Couva South.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a bit of clarification. In terms of this 2018 estimates from the point of view of telephone of $2 million, what are the offices, does this cover all the offices under the office of the Prime Minister?
Yes.
Could you give us a breakdown in terms of the respective offices that this $2 million will be allocated to?
Office of the Prime Minister.
In terms of what is actually the question? You want to know what offices are covered by this, or you want to know each office and each sum?
Under the purview of the Prime Minister.
You just want them to identify the offices?
Yeah, because there's the perception out there that probably, I don't know if there's the Prime Minister using telephones to this particular sum.
The Prime Minister or the office?
Office of the Prime Minister. So I want to know what are the different agencies and so on.
Ma'am, the perception is a correct perception. There's one Office of the Prime Minister, and $2 million has been estimated for the Office of the Prime Minister, the different arms that may fall under the Office of the Prime Minister, for example, the Cabinet Secretariat, for example, Gender Affairs, for example, the National Security Council, etc. It is actually, thank you very much, Madam Chair. It is. And yes, it covers all of those.
So it covers a range of offices. I have a responsibility under this meeting, Madam Chair, to ask if people are offended or members are offended, just, Madam Chair.
All right. All right.
Nobody's offended.
Member, just hold up. Hold up. Let's member for Couva South. Member for Couva South. Member for Couva South. Member for Couva South and other members. I just remind you all again about light. Okay? I have said, member, in terms of this, you're entitled to ask the question if it covers all the offices of the Prime Minister, which I think it was answered. In terms of asking for a detailed listing of that, I'm not allowing that because that is in the public domain in the Gazette. Okay? Do you have another question? Please proceed.
Under Head 31, Expenses of the Prime Minister's Establishment, Madam Chair, in 2018 it is estimated to be $9 million and an increase in the allocation of $1.8 million. Could we get some clarification on this particular head?
Yes, that increase is really to deal with some capital expenditure that we expect to incur with the maintenance of both the Office of the Prime Minister and the Diplomatic Center.
Member for Couva South.
And under 43, Madam Chair, Security Services. There's an increase of, to this particular line item, to $3.5 million, an estimated increase of $1,200,500.
That would include some of the safe houses that will come on stream.
Safe houses?
Some of the safe houses as well as the security at Tower D.
Security.
In addition to the head office.
Security at Tower
D.
Tower
the
D.
Office and some of our safe houses to come on stream.
Okay. There's no special security unit at the Office of the Prime Minister existing?
Madam Chair, as the member is very aware, and it's actually reflected here, where you see it dropping from over $3 million previously to these figures. When the current Prime Minister came into office, he reversed the previous decision. Actually, Cabinet took a decision to reduce expenditure, and we now utilize the Office of the Prime Minister and the Diplomatic Center and Residence, now utilize the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, which has resulted in substantial savings to the taxpayers, and that is what is being reflected there.
For Shugona Cease.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Honorable Prime Minister, line item 1616, contract employment. Could you indicate to us that substantial sum of $13 million? How many persons we're talking about and what capacities?
Yes.
I have a follow-up question.
Under contract employment, head office, there are 117. The number of contract officers, there are 117 positions under the contract establishment available. The number of contract officers are 43, so leaving a vacancy of 74. Under Gender and Child Affairs, there are 93 contract positions, and there are 49 positions filled, leaving a vacancy of 44. So a total of 210 in the contract establishment, with only 92 being utilized, which is less than half, leaving a number of vacancies of 118.
Okay, Madam Chair, just a follow-up. The next line item, item 17, training, there has been a marked increase from 17 to 18 in terms of training. Could you indicate to us what this figure is being used for?
Well, it's not. We have the training program. When you say it's a marked increase, it's an increase
from
of
the 2017 estimates,
right,
and the actual was 344. So there was an increase in the amount that was allocated, and that was more or less increased, not by very much, by 55,000.
Correct, $55,000.
So I just want to get a sense.
The Office of the Prime Minister has taken a decision to make sure that the public officers and all of those personnel that fall under the Office of the Prime Minister are given sufficient opportunities for training and to better themselves. So we think it's worth the extra $55,000 for the year to do so, which works out to less than $5,000 additional a month.
This training will be tenable locally, or will it be foreign or both?
The vast majority. In fact, I'm not seeing any that is foreign. All of it is local.
Okay.
Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Honorable Minister, when line item 27, official overseas travel, what I'm trying to get at similarly with respect to when I raise line item 05 is whether or not the estimates in this book, the figures are correct, or the figures given by the Honorable Prime Minister in his contribution was correct. Which one? And when you look at line item 27.
Member, just 1 minute. Just now. In terms of, these are estimates, and I think for the number of days that we've sat here, what I've heard is these are estimates to be spent.
In terms of what was told to us and what we are seeing here.
Estimates for 2018? Is there a vast difference to the estimates for 2018?
The expenditure of 2017.
Well, we interrogating here the estimates for 2018. What I've said is, if you wanted to look at 2017 actual to maybe interrogate 2018 in terms of, is this realistic? How you come up with it? That kind of thing, I will allow it. If it is you want to interrogate the figures past for some other reason, I'm saying that you have another opportunity to do that, but not here. Okay?
2018 figure for line item 27. I note that we spoke about the gazetting, and on 17 occasions for the past 24 months, it has been noted the Prime Minister has traveled on 17 occasions.
This is item 27?
Yes, for 2018, Madam, we see...
If I may correct that, the member persists in trying to get this imaginary figure of 17 travel trips
it is
by
gazetted,
the Prime Minister. And that is not so. Ma'am, as you know,
17
as you would know, or maybe different under your time, but when this Prime Minister travels on personal trips, he pays for it. I don't know what went on previously. So whilst his being out of the country, what I assume you're saying is gazetted, is there's then appointed an acting Prime Minister. Those are not paid for under the Office of the Prime Minister, any personal trips this Prime Minister makes. The figure that you're seeing here reflected, and actually the only figure you see here that is an actual figure, is the figure for 2016, where the Office of the Prime Minister only spent $2.1 million. And we've heard during the same budget debates that you've referred to some of the fruits that have been borne for the taxpayers, for example, negotiation of gas deals and other things that have come for fruition for the country of Trinidad and Tobago for these cost items. So I don't know what you're talking about, 17 trips. I think that was properly corrected, that the number of official trips, if I remember correctly, is somewhere closer to the number 7.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for confirming that the Prime Minister has travelled 17 times since he's become Prime Minister.
I am not
And
confirming
similarly,
that.
when the
All right,
past
members.
Prime Minister travelled,
All right, members.
but 17 times he's been out of the country in 24 months.
And member for Princestown, as I said, in terms of that kind of interrogation, I think it will be better done under another avenue that is available.
Madam Speaker, I crave your indulgence to correct the record and to save the public from the excesses of the member for Princetown. That misinformation ought not to be on the public record. And all that is in this budget for analysis is the official business of the estimates.
No. Member Princetown, please, let's all try. Let all of us try to restrain ourselves, okay? And let's all try, I'm speaking, let's all try to conduct ourselves in a particular kind of way. It may not be a sitting of the House, but this is a committee of the House. Okay? Prime Minister.
I just would like to have the record not reflect the inaccuracies as presented by a member of this House. For whatever purpose, the misrepresentation is regretted.
And I would have thought Minister Young would have cured that. Okay?
Just reiterate that I was the one who clarified that in my budget presentation. It was not the Prime Minister. I am the one who clarified it, and it was not 17 trips. But he insists on stating that, and it's not correct.
And as I say, we discontinue now, and we move on to something else. Member for Caroni Central.
Madam Chair, through you, just a simple request based on line 65, which is that could we have the list of cabinet appointed committees that cover the 28 million of 2017 and the membership, and the list of potential committees to be covered by the 15.250 million for 2018. I am quite aware that membership would not probably have been addressed in many of them.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, the figure is actually not 15 million. What the member is looking at, that's the increase. The figure is actually 43.250 million for 2018. If he looks across in the explanatory note, it says very clearly there, this is for the National Security Council, $42.2 million, and then for commissions and committees, just 1 million has been provided. The commissions and committees, if I may, that are covered there is the subcommittee of cabinet to provide oversight for the implementation of restoration and refurbishment works to historical buildings. And it is not that anyone on that committee is being paid for that work, because as you're aware, that committee is chaired by the Prime Minister, includes the Honourable Minister of Planning, Minister of Finance, the Attorney General, and myself. Then there's a reports review committee to provide technical support to cabinet, which is comprised of members of Parliament from the government, and then a committee to make recommendations for the creation of office of the head of public service. Again, so those are the items that are covered under the expense of cabinet appointed bodies. Yes.
Committees.
Yes.
Member for Chaguanas West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With respect to line item 65, it provides for this additional amount of 43.25, the additional 15 million, so the cumulative sum is 43.25 million. What is, I noticed in the explanation, National Security Council, 42.25 million. What is the composition of this expense of 42.25 million?
Madam Chair, I can't give the exact items that is for, but it is that certain apparatus that form part of the national security dimension in Trinidad and Tobago are covered under the National Security Council. So payment of certain bills, etc., for certain items that they operate.
Because I'm trying to get an explanation and understanding. At the time of the presentation by the Minister of National Security, he indicated that 50 million, as part of the presentation here, 50 million was to be spent on SSA. And the question was the accountability. And his answer was that the PS in the Ministry of National Security and the National Security Council under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister would have oversight over that money.
That is something that's completely separate. As you may be aware, under the National Security Council, things like impacts and regional bodies that form part of the security apparatus for the region, for CARICOM, etc., fall under the stewardship of the National Security Council. So payment for those fees, our contributions to these regional security bodies are covered here.
Would the payment to the forensic experts be within this allocation?
I don't know what forensic experts you're talking about.
Okay.
Member for Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My colleague from Chaguanas West raised a number of the issues, but could I just ask, because I see the breakdown of $42.25 million for the National Security Council in 2017. What was the allocation to the National Security Council?
We see in the revised estimates it was $28 million.
28. So it doesn't include committees and so on in 2017.
Well, you mean you want to know out of the 28
Yeah.
million, how much was for the National Security
Yeah.
Council? We don't have that information.
Could you forward it in due course?
I'm certain we can.
Princess Star.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 43, Security Services. I see an increase of over $1.2 million. Can you indicate whether or not MTS is responsible for security services with respect to the OPM, or is it a private service provider? And if so, who?
As we had just touched on this a short while ago, we see a drop from 11.3 million being actually spent in 2016. I explained how we've reduced that all the way down to 3.5 now by using the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the TTDF. This figure that you're seeing of 3.5 would include private security contractors for the Gender Affairs Division, not for the Office of the Prime Minister, head office itself, or for the residents, etc. And the firm that is utilized is Amalgamated Security Services. And at Tower D, there may also be security at safe houses.
Minister, thank you, ma'am. Just to make sure I have it correct, you're saying that there are officers from the TTPS and the Defense Force that are utilized in different arms of the Office of the Prime Minister?
Not in different arms. As I said a short while ago, the Cabinet took a decision to utilize the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force at the headquarters of the Office of the Prime Minister on St. Clair Avenue, as well as at the Diplomatic Center and residence.
Minister, then how do you rationalize that with what the Minister of National Security told us, that these officers could not be used in offices and so on because they were better served in terms of law enforcement on the ground?
You would surely this administration recognizes the significance and the importance of the Office of the Prime Minister, and in particular the residence, which is an official residence, which is where this Prime Minister resides. He does not hold two residences with persons and personnel. My understanding was previously Army official, TTDF officials and TTPS being somewhere in Philippines, which when I've looked at the register under the OPM, I haven't seen what residence the Office of the Prime Minister has in Philippines in South.
So you're confirming that there's one policy with respect to national security and there's another for the OPM, and there's no...
Allow that. Member for Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under 58, medical expenses, there's a projected increase of 407,000 with an overall allocation of 700,000 for 2018. Could we get some further clarification on this?
Okay, member for Couva South, that would include medical expenses for all past and present prime ministers. Yep.
So we move on. Item 002, Gender Affairs Division, page 60. Member for Kamuta Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item number 16, contract employment. Notice there's a decrease. Will this decrease impact on the delivery of services of the gender division?
It's not projected to impact the delivery of services. We actually started recruiting more officers for the unit.
How many persons are currently employed and what is the complement?
Okay. It was under contracted services before. Agenda affairs, we have number of officers, 93, number of contract officers, 49, number vacant, 44. But as I mentioned, we already started recruiting.
I understand that you started recruiting, but you don't have an increased budget. You have a budget that is more or less same throughout 2017 and coming into 2018. So I just wanted to find out, is it that you're going to seek more allocation from the Minister of Finance?
What we will do is, if we need to do that, we'll do that, or we make internal arrangements as well.
Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, page 61. Item 001, general administration. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies. Item 003, United Nations organizations, page 61. Item 005, non-profit institutions. Member for Naparima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at items 09 and 010 taken together, there's been a meager increase of $30,000 for the St. Jude's Home for Girls and a $500,000 decrease from the 8.5 spent in 2017. Now, given the challenges we face with at-risk youth, unresolved issues with gangs, violence in schools, as reflected in social media, etc., should we not be putting more resources into this area rather than withdrawing?
Member for Naparima, the St. Jude's, where it's currently located, we'll have to move from there, right? Apart from that, parts of the facility will no longer be under the remit of Office of the Prime Minister, Gender and Child Affairs. But the reason we have this reduction because we're moving the institution.
And if I may add, Member for Naparima, this administration takes very, very seriously, and under the exemplary stewardship of the Honourable Minister to my left, all issues related to children and all those who are at risk. And we are very, very mindful of providing whatever levels of support that are necessary. So I can give an assurance that should these sums not prove to be sufficient during the course of the year, they will be addressed, either at midterm or via applications for environments.
I'm really on page 62, item under transfers to state enterprises. So when you reach there.
Okay, member for Point of Peer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the Honourable Prime Minister, 05 St. Dominic's Children's Home, I'm heartened to see an increase of 4.6. But could you just enlighten us what sort of improvements or the 4.6 would be used for?
St. Dominic's Home was able to do their strategic plan, and there's a program in place to improve the institution. Apart from that, we're hoping to use that particular facility to cater for children with special mental health needs. So that will be the dedicated facility to cater for those children who may not be able to cope in other settings.
Very good. Thank you.
For Kamucha Manzanilla.
Thank you. Just a follow-up. Well, I have my own question, but a follow-up to member on the St. Dominic's Children's Home. Do you have a system by which the children who will be newly adopted into this system, When I say adopted, I'm not using, when I say adopted, I don't mean the physical adoption. I mean who will be taken into the home to assist with the special needs. Is there a policy, the document that you will be preparing to assist with how you determine which children will be the targeted children, whether it's from poor income families or?
All children entering into community residences would go through the Children's Authority, right? And there are care plans and assessments done, and based on that, we know what's the ideal institution to place a child.
And it will be at no cost to the parent?
No.
All right, okay. My question, coming to 09, coming back on my colleague, I know that 30,000 is really a very insignificant amount, but how does the government intend to ensure that whatever monies are allocated to the boys' home is in fact ensuring that the well-being and the safety of the young vulnerable boys are being adequately met? How are you dealing with, there are a lot of issues in the public domain on what is happening at the St. Michael's for boys. It's very, very, very disturbing. We are allocating monies. What is the state, what is the government doing to ensure that these most vulnerable young men, that their well-being and their safety is in fact given #1 priority? When they go in, Madam Chair, we're supposed to expect that when they come out, that they are better coming out as opposed to being.
Okay. So, member, I think your question or your statement, or the concern, while it may be an important one, you haven't tied it to what is here before us on the figures.
$30,000 is being assigned additional to the St. Michael's for boys, which I'm in total agreement, I think is inadequate. But what is the ministry doing to ensure that the children's needs are in fact being met? You're putting monies into the St. Michael's for boys, but what is being done to ensure that the establishment really impacts upon our young boys who are going in there who are very vulnerable, that they impacted
Madam Chairman,
positively?
how is this related to this line item?
It came from heaven.
Okay, so
because we're looking at value for money, Madam Chair.
So, member, well, while that may be while that may be so, I don't think we should all just take the 5 minutes for granted, member for Couva South. We need to really use it well, as you said. Okay, so member, you want to find out how does the $30,000 impact on the performance of the school?
Performance of the school. I'm dealing with people-centered development. This is what I'm looking at. Not the establishment, not the
Madam Chair,
all right,
Chair,
please.
maybe I can answer it so we
Members,
can move on.
please. Member, I think that question, even if it were allowed under normal questions, it would be a question on notice to be for a written answer. Okay? So that I can't allow that here. All right? Do you have another question? Please. Member, please.
I would like to find out on 10, St. Jude's Home for Girls.
You want to find out item?
On item 10,
10?
St. Jude's Home for Girls. Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to understand with the move-in, how will it impact upon the young girls who are at risk? In your move-in, is there going to be any fallout in terms of how many of the young girls will be able to access the services of this home?
No, and we don't work towards placing children at St. Jude's. That's not the ideal situation.
Okay. Member for Princess Town.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 01, ecclesiastical bodies. I was wondering whether or not these are standing subventions or these are actual application-based, And if so, would you be able to provide us with a list for all those that would have received a benefit from this particular vote?
In writing.
17?
Yes, please.
Okay.
But if if you can indicate at this point whether or not these are standing subventions or these are applications for funding. Applications.
Member for Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My colleagues raised the issues, so
Okay.
I will pass.
Thank you. Subhead 007, Households, page 62. Member for Kumuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Line item number 03. Can the Honorable Minister identify the projects to be undertaken by the authority that will improve and bring about, a number of legislation that has been passed, and how far have they moved ahead with this implementation?
Member, this money, this allocation here is for the Children's Authority. And what is the question you have asked?
To identify the projects to be undertaken. I know there are a number of issues, a number of projects to be undertaken, and I want to know how far they have reached with it.
Wouldn't this be operational costs to fulfill the objectives and mandates of the, I don't know, maybe I...
You're right, Madam Chair.
And can the Honorable Minister indicate what is the 55 million for then, please?
Exactly that, the operating expenditure of the Children's Authority.
Members, please. Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Honorable Minister, with respect to line item 01, the adoption board expenses, and this expenditure really, and the question has to do really with policy, can you indicate whether or not this expenditure would be involved in any reform of the policy on adoption in terms of making it more amenable in terms of the current day situation with respect to adoptions taking so long and are languishing in the public domain?
No.
So there will be no reform at this point?
No, your question was, does this cover that? The answer is no, that will be covered under government policy, change of policy, that would be looked at by LRC and other areas.
Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether or not it is the intention of the government to reform the adoption process?
And I would not allow this, having regard to the answers that were given and the item that we're looking at. Item 009, other transfers, page 62. Item 011, transfers to state enterprises, page 62. Member for Chaguanas West.
Thank you. Madam Chair, item 01, Golden Grove Buko Limited. Earlier on with the Minister of Finance presentation, there was an allocation of 1 million in 2017, and there is now an allocation of 5 million in 2018, and there has been a transfer of this state enterprise from the Ministry of Finance to the Office of the Prime Minister.
Correct.
To the Prime Minister. The question is the rationale for the transfer, one, and two, what is this 5 million going to be utilized for?
That 5 million, as you're aware, is an estimate. This is a special purpose vehicle that's been set up, and the lands for the Sandals project have been vested in this special purpose vehicle, and this is a vehicle that would be utilized for the project going forward. So as you would expect, there would be certain expenses to be incurred by the vehicle, surveying of lands, etc. And that's what it is going to be utilized for.
Honorable members, we will now move on to the draft estimates of the development program. We want another book, page 17, subhead 09, development program, consolidated fund, page 17, item 004, social infrastructure, pages 17 and 18. Member for Kumuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Line item number 085. Can the Honorable Minister indicate what assessment center is this?
C, 085.
The authority is now working towards having an assessment center established in Tobago in collaboration with the Tobago House of Assembly. I know, but nobody work was already started under the last fiscal.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, there's an issue currently in Trinidad and Tobago with the assessment centers not being in the correct mandate as established by the Children's Authority.
Which
is it that with this assessment center will it work according to what was mandated by the courts when you're customizing it?
Yes, we do
Yes.
everything properly.
And therefore, will you be able to rectify what is happening in Trinidad and before we reach Tobago, so it can be in alignment?
Right.
That does not align to that particular
Madam
item.
Speaker, Madam Chairman, if I may just intervene here with regard to the questions being asked on 085. As you would notice, for 2018, there is no money assigned to this line item. The work was already started, and the work that is being done based on what we had allocated for 2017, and the question therefore does not arise, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Do you have any more questions? Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Honorable Minister, line item 088, establishment of a National Children's Registry. When you look at the 2016 figure, you see an actual of 95,514, the estimate for 2017 being $500,000 with nothing spent. However, in 2018, there's an allocation for 1 million. Can you indicate what significant progress is intended to be made over the next year, seeing that the UN has asked for us to conform with respect to this national registry by 2019?
We'll conform.
Madam,
You have a follow-up question?
while I look forward to the minister conforming, we see that based on the figures in 2016, 95,000, estimate in 2017, 500,000, yet nothing was spent. How do we then intend to conform if we are not putting the systems in place by not actually putting the infrastructure? Because you're seeing nothing was spent by the revised estimates of 2017. So therefore, what comfort do we have? And that's why I'm asking of the advancement and the progress with respect to this particular issue.
Madam Speaker, the minister has said it will be done. It's 2019. We have a little bit of time to get it done. It's not that difficult, and it is being done.
Is it then an admittance that nothing has been done so far?
No work was done.
Well, that is what I'm asking. What has been done?
And members, there's no admission. Let's go on. Point of pair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the Honorable Prime Minister. Line items 084 and 090. Is it, and 094. And 084 and 090. Are there any linkages between the two line items, or is it separate?
They're separate.
Okay, so line item 090, establishment of places of safety. Where I know it might be very confidential and stuff,
So
right? Not where, but what kind of individuals would that involve?
You really want me to go into that here? I'll give that in writing.
Okay. Thank you.
We now go on to item 005, multi-sectoral and other services, page 18.
Page what?
005. Yes, you can, under 005.
Of strategic threat assessment.
Madam Chair, my colleagues may recall that this item had come up previously. This is being housed out of the National Security Secretariat, and it is exactly as it says, strategic threat assessments. A country and the national security apparatus are consistently doing threat assessments to various sectors and for the whole country. So this is strengthening it by additional training and by additional resources.
Infrastructure Development Fund, page 196, same book. You have a question? Yes, member for Princess Tong, I'm sorry.
Madam, line item 001, page 18. If we look at the estimate under this particular line item, we would see that 2 million was identified, 2 million having been spent by the revised estimate, but in 2018, we see an allocation of 1 million. Could the Honourable Minister indicate to us what scope of works in terms of IT infrastructure in the Office of the Prime Minister this is being spent on?
Ma'am, this is an estimate for any work that needs to be done with respect to the IT infrastructure. Hopefully and currently, there is no scope of works.
So there's no project? It's just maintenance?
Correct.
Development Fund, page 196, same book. Item 004, Social Infrastructure, pages 196 and 197. Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Line item 002, Honorable Minister. If you can identify what do you mean by the modernization of the St. Michael's Home for Boys, and again, how will it improve the lives of the young men?
Okay, as again, the ideal situation is not only for children to be in institutions. However, we are going to upgrade 4 dormitories at St. Michael's, and by upgrading the dormitories, we'll have them in a more hospitable environment, so they'll be able to function properly.
Member for Naparima.
008, you had indicated previously that there are some challenges, infrastructure at St. Jude's School for Girls.
Member, I think what the minister said is that they're going to be moved.
Oh, moving.
And there's no allocation
no
on there.
allocation. Okay.
I think I do recall that.
Okay.
Item 005, multi-sectoral and other services, page 197. Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
Thank you. Line item 008, restoration of the Red House. Can the Honorable Minister indicate what is the status of the restoration?
Certainly, as you're aware, the restoration is being supervised at a government level by the same restoration committee chaired by the Honourable Prime Minister and the members of Cabinet I alluded to earlier. Work is progressing. The public would have seen public tenders going out. Those tenders have been awarded as and when, and work is progressing quite well. So we hope to keep the date. I believe it is 2018, November 2018. So work is progressing at the Red House.
Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honourable Prime Minister, line item 011, could you indicate what was done with that 500,000 allocation in 2017 and what you expect to be done with the 5 million allocation in 2018? What will be the full cost of this construction, and by when is it expected to be completed?
In response to your first part of your question, the $500,000 that was used to demolish the building, as I would have mentioned.
With respect to the rest of your questions, this is an ongoing project. The costs are still being looked at. We're managing the cost in a downward movement through UDCOT. This 5 million would presumably be to get once the contract is awarded, to get the project moving forward. And we hope that it will be completed within 12 to 18 months.
Okay, Madam Chair, just another question. With respect to the restoration of the Red House, the 7 million that was utilized, if you could indicate what was done, what will the 25 million be used for? And again, by when might we be expecting the full restoration to be completed, at what cost, if you have any estimates?
I had just indicated that the full restoration is expected to be completed by November 2018. The $7 million would have been used for work that was done during the course of this year, because a number of contracts were awarded, for example, to treat termites, to also deal with the roof and these types of things. The $25 million would be, if I remember correctly, I believe there are about 13 packages to be awarded, and there would be the mobilization and the completion of work under those packages.
Okay, but line item 001, is it that all works to the restoration of Stormyers Castle have been completed since there's no allocation 2018?
There is an allocation, I think, looking at it, of 44,000. No. Sorry, yes. Yes, the work has been practically completed, yes. So very soon it will be announced, and the scope and use of Stallmeyer's Castle would be announced to the public once Cabinet has taken a final decision.
I know this is a question that you might be able to answer off the bat. Cabildo retrofit, 012, could you give us a sense?
The Cabildo retrofit is when we came in as an administration, we met an astronomical budget, if I remember correctly, of almost $500 million for the restoration of the Red House. That also included the construction of a new companion building. The decision that this government, this administration took was to reduce costs, to manage the cost. And what we decided is Cabildo Chambers, which is right opposite the Red House on St. Vincent Street, would be cleared, and that would be utilized as the companion building so as to reduce the cost and not have to construct a new companion building for the Parliament at the Red House when it's put into use. So this $2 million would be to retrofit and to provide the same type of facilities that are provided here at this building at Cabildo for parliamentarians, for the staff and other areas in a companion building.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honourable Minister, with respect to line item that deals with the Stallmeyer's Castle and or the restoration of the Red House, can you indicate at this point whether or not there are any discussions to have the Prime Minister's office be at Stallmeyer's Castle or at the Red House?
No, there are none.
None.
Honourable members, the question is that the sum of $250,074,590 for Head 13, the Office of the Prime Minister, stand part of the schedule. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $250,074,590 for Head 13, the Office of the Prime Minister, now stands part of the schedule. Thank you, Ministers. Thank you, Mr. P.S. and the other technocrats. Head 68, Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs. Head 68, Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, the sum of $302,407,827. That's it. Members, we're now going to page 362 of the recurrent expenditure. I will now invite the Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs to make a brief opening statement for a maximum of 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs is the government's lead agency for the achievement of national goals related to sport and youth development. Madam Chair, our Prime Minister and our Cabinet has been focused, especially in our tenure, on the youth development, which has been ignored for several years, and we have put that in the front burner. With regards to sport, we are focused, as in our policy from our manifesto, to focus on the grassroots and development level of the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. We're focusing on women in sport, and we have mandated that all NGBs, all governing bodies focus on these elements, including sports that facilitate handicap aspect of it, the masters aspect of sport, and of course, we want to ensure that our elite athlete program and our athletes that represent Trinidad and Tobago at the highest level are supported as best as possible. This year, Madam Speaker, despite the challenges that we've had economically and the cuts that we've had from the previous regime, we have been told by several quarters, including the sport company and the ministry, that it has been the best year that we've had in sport. And so far, we have been also pushing the sports tourism drive to try to diversify the country from the oil and gas dependency, of which we have hosted the most international events in terms of sport and the highest level of sport in the country, and we continue in that vein as we move on to 2018. I thank you, Madam Chairman.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $302,407,827 for head 68, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $302,407,827 for head 68, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of development program. We now proceed to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, page 362. Item 001, General Administration, page 362. Member for Princess Town.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, with respect to line item 01, can you indicate to us what is the current complement of staff at the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs?
Madam Chair, through you, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs currently has 562 members of staff, established 398, and on contract 164.
Member for Princess Town.
Thank you, Madam. Minister, line item 14, remuneration to members of cabinet-appointed committees. Can you indicate to us at this point how many cabinet-appointed committees there are with respect to sport and youth affairs, and what is the specific mandate?
Madam Speaker, we'll submit that information in writing.
Member for Princess Town.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, at this stage, can I ask the Honourable Minister, off the top of your head, can you say at least how many cabinet-appointed committees there are? No.
Item 002, Physical Education and Sport Division, pages 362 and 363. Item 005, Youth Affairs, page 363. Item 006, National Youth Development and Apprenticeship, pages 363 and 364. Member for Chaguanas East.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Honourable Minister, with respect to line item 01 under 006, the WIDACs, could you indicate for this level of expenditure, 6.6 million, how many persons are employed at each of these centers and the enrollment of trainees at each of these WIDACs, if you have them? For example, if you could tell me at Chatham Youth Camp, how many persons are employed and how many trainees do you have at Presto Presto? If you could take those as two examples.
Presto, we currently enroll in terms of students, 31 students currently at Presto, and Chatham right now we're doing some repairs to that facility, which wasn't completed. It was shortly done in 2014, 2015, and we shortly done meaning inhabitable. So we're working on that now to get that back up and running.
Okay, so do you have any trainees at Chatham?
No, not currently.
Okay, what about the other centers?
Yes, I just said we had 31 enrolled. at Presto Presto.
No, do you have any? You don't have any other?
No, it's only
examples?
two, yeah. Presto Presto and Chatham are development
How
apprentice.
many employees at Presto Presto and at Chatham?
We'll give you that in writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Subhead, member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Minister, same line item 01, salaries and cost of living allowance, a decrease of 100,000. In this area, do you foresee that there will be a cut with respect to staffing, or is it that contracts will not be renewed? Does this account for that decrease?
As I said before, we are working on getting the Chatham situation sorted out, so that's why you're seeing the reduction there with regards to the salaries.
So therefore, Minister, you're anticipating that it will take one entire financial year to deal with that situation?
Well,
because pretty much that is what your rationale is.
Remember, I don't think that is a fair question from the response that was given.
No. Madam Speaker, under the last tender with NETCO, with regards to the project that was done there, there's some serious issues that we have to go back and deal with the facilities there from 2014. So that's the situation we're in.
Subhead 02, Goods and Services. Item 001, General Administration, page 364 and page 365. Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, line item 16, contract employment, again a decrease of 2.7 million. Could the Honourable Minister advance an explanation for this decrease of 2.7 million in the area of contract employment?
Madam Speaker, I think, Madam Chair, this was discussed in most of the other ministries that we actually were mandated to reduce in terms of the amount of contract employees. I think this has been repetitively said in all the ministries that we have gone through for the past few days.
When you look at line item 22, short-term employment, there's also a decrease there. Is it that the Honourable Minister is then saying that Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, similarly to his explanation for other ministries, will have an impact in terms of employees, contracts not being renewed? Am I just getting that rationale correctly, that he's saying across the board there will be cuts in ministries similar to the one in his one with respect to contract employment and short-term employment?
Madam Chair.
Just a minute, Minister of Sport. Just make a general comment. We have to do more with less. So simple as that. So the ministries have been mandated to be efficient. That's all.
Item 002, Physical Education and Sport Division. You have another question? Yes. Sorry, Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Madam,
we
line
still on item 001, right?
Correct.
Yes.
I'm looking at line item 27, official overseas travel, with an increase of 315,000. Could the Minister, one, indicate whether or not overseas travel would also mean Tobago travel? And also, if we can be provided with an update with respect to the list of trips that has been taken under this vote in the last fiscal year?
I will not allow the first question, member. I think at this level we need to
understand geography.
Respect our physical, our viewing audience. What is the second question?
Madam, the second question is whether or not he can provide us with a list of official overseas travel.
Yes, we can provide
for
it,
the last financial year. But all I'm asking is if Tobago is included in these arrangements.
Madam Chairman, just for clarity. No, just for clarity, as the member will know, since he has accessed the overseas travel vote in the Ministry of the Prime Minister in the millions of dollars, it's for overseas travel. Trinidad and Tobago is a unitary state. Tobago is not considered to be overseas.
The expenditure of 98,000, it could be.
That's about the same as your phone bill for the month when you were there.
Mr. Chairman. $2 million to carry a handbag?
Okay, so having had an opportunity to vent, I'm sure we can now get back to order and to business. Item 002, Physical Education and Sport Division, page 365. Item 003, Dwight York Stadium, page 366. Item 004, Youth Centers, pages 366 and 367. Member for Princestown.
Madam, line item 37, again, we see, and a point I've been making across the board, large increases in the area of janitorial services. Could the minister indicate whether or not these are private service providers? And if so, what would have accounted for the increase by $230,000 in this area? And whether or not he can provide us with the details of the service providers.
Most of it is MTS.
I'm advised this is again related to MTS and the recent collective agreement.
Item 005, Youth Affairs. Member for Princestown.
Madam, line item 16, contract employment, a decrease of $915,000 in the area of youth affairs. Could the Honourable Minister indicate which areas of contract employment will be affected by this in terms of the operations of these youth affairs areas?
We'll provide that in writing, Chairman.
Item 006, National Youth Development and Apprenticeship, page 368. Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, line item 21, repairs and maintenance of buildings, an increase of $105,000. If the Honourable Minister can indicate to us which buildings are earmarked for repairs and maintenance and the scope of works. And if we also look at line item 28, other contracted services, an increase of $49,000. If we could have an idea of what that $49,000 entails. And line item 40, food at institutions, another large increase of $95,000. If you can indicate what would have accounted for this increase at the service providers, and whether there are existing contracts with service providers with respect to line item 40, food at institutions.
And we could ask 3 different line items with a lot of information with regards to our facilities, so we could provide the works to be done with regards to the repairs in writing. There's minor repairs pretty much, Madam Chair, that will be done with regards to plumbing, electrical, general maintenance. We want to ensure that our buildings and facilities are kept up to scratch, and that goes for the youth buildings. In terms of the 40, which is food and institutions, we are catering for trainees at these various centers at presto, Madam Chair, so the meals that they get there.
Thank you, Madam. Minister, with respect to line item 66, an increase of $47,000 with respect to hosting of conferences, seminars, and other functions in the area of National Youth Development and Apprenticeship Centers. Can you indicate to us at this point what conferences, seminars, and other functions are earmarked for the next fiscal year with respect to this in the expenditure being increased by $47,000?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, we'll be focusing heavily on the young people. We've started doing that from 2015, and we have a number of graduation ceremonies with the programs that we host at a number of these various facilities that we have, and this figure represents the graduations that we'll be having.
Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, page 369. Item 001, General Administration. Item 002, Physical Education and Sport Division. Item 003, Dwight York Stadium. Item 004, Youth Centers, page 370. Item 005, Youth Affairs, page 370. Item 006, National Youth Development and Apprenticeship Program, page 370. Subhead 04, Current Transfers and Subsidies, page 371. Item 002, Commonwealth Bodies. Item 005, Non-Profit Institutions, member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, line item 01, assistance to sporting organizations. Here we have an allocation of 454,000. The Honorable Minister can indicate to us through writing. He may not have the information available now, but if we can get the list of sporting organizations to which financial support will be provided to, and whether or not this will be like a subvention in terms of standing subventions, or whether or not there will be an application process.
Madam Chair, there's a lot, so I'll provide in writing.
Member for Princestown.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, line item 02, Boxing Board of Control. I know the minister in his budget statement, he indicated that there will be some reform in this particular area. If he would be able to provide us some explanation in writing, possibly, in terms of how the reform with respect to the Boxing Board of Control.
Talk about the Sport Commission. You would have heard the Minister of Finance speak of a sports commission.
Yes.
We in talks with regards to, even before our tenure here, of doing some changes to the boxing board to completely have all the different hand combat sports incorporated. And the cabinet is looking at that now to have a decision with regards to moving forward under the sports commission. Yeah.
Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just following up on line item 01, I have another question as well. But following up on the 01, will this assistance also include assistance to groups who will be preparing for the Olympics? So is this allocation here to assist with persons, organizations? And if not, if you can identify the line item. And I don't know if you
because what the minister undertook is that he would give a listing.
Already said I'll give a listing.
So it will include the Olympics. And then
no,
okay.
You can't tell me.
The listing what this pertains to.
Line 01.
Okay. Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
No, it's in 007 when you go to it.
Okay. Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, line item 32, contribution to non-profit institutions with respect to youth organizations, an estimate of 250,000. Similarly, if the Honourable Minister can indicate whether or not these are standing subventions to youth organizations or whether or not these are applications, and if these are applications, what has been the disbursement with respect to the last fiscal year with respect to this particular vote?
No problem. Again, we'll send it in writing as a list.
And also, Ministers, we are close by line item 33, the Trinidad Youth Council, an increase of 50,000 this year. Can you indicate whether or not there's any synergy with respect to the National Unemployment Program policy document, that is being prepared? Is it in collaboration with the Trinidad Youth Council?
Yes, right now we're actually in the process of doing a new youth policy for the first time in 4 or 5 years, and all that will be incorporated in it. So we're working together with it to ensure that we work with the unemployed youth as well.
Can you say if the youth policy is before the cabinet, or when could we expect it to be made public?
We launched the consultation process 2 months ago.
So it is still in its...
Yes.
Okay.
But in 2018, it will be sent to the cabinet for approval.
Item 007, households. Couva South.
With respect to the severance benefit, could the minister give us some information terms of who would be entitled to this allocation. I see from the point of view of the hosting of vacation camps, there's an increase of 500,000, and could you provide whether this will be done on a constituency by constituency basis? And also the National Mentorship Program, which has been transferred from the Ministry of National Security, how his ministry intends to administer this particular program.
Minister.
Madam Chair, it's 3 questions. In terms of the severance benefits, that's the daily paid and retirees. In terms of 03, hosting of vacation camps, we did it successfully last summer with youth, and 8 or 9 of our youth facilities across Trinidad and Tobago hosted camps for 400 plus youth around the country, and we'll continue doing that next year as well. And the mentorship program, as I said, we finalize it with our youth policy, and that is a major part of us moving forward our youth policy, where the mentorship program will be part of that.
Member for Kamucho Manzanilla.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, you answered part of my question, which is in 04, the mentorship.
Yeah.
Will there be a monitoring and evaluation unit attached so you can actually measure your level of...
Yes, for the first time, the ministry, the youth aspect of it will be monitoring and evaluating, including sport as well. That is something that's been lacking in the past.
Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, I was going to further the question on item 04, how this program is going to be delivered, but you indicated it is going to be part of a policy. Can you say by what time the policy might be expected to be completed so we can know how this is going to be disbursed?
Yeah, actually, we moved earlier with the youth policy than is anticipated and expected. It expires this year, fiscal year, but we move early to ensure that we could get it started in the process. I think we have done 5 or 6 consultations so far, and is hopefully within this quarter, before December, we'll be taking it to the cabinet to have it so we can launch it early in January.
Okay.
Member for Naparimo.
Item 03, hosting of vacation camps. You said these were held at 8
of our youth facilities.
Youth facilities. Yeah. Are any of these located within the constituency of Naparimo or close to the constituency of Naparimo? And if they are excluded, could you tell us what attempts will be made to access the 25,000 young people in the constituency of Naparimo? Plenty.
Well,
25,000.
All are invited to attend.
No. Are any of your facilities in proximity?
No. Well, we don't have any in Naparima.
Or close to?
The closest one will be which one, boy?
No, I just asking. Because
Los Bajos, Tableland will probably be the closest. Los Bajos.
That's about 20 miles away.
San Fernando?
No. So I'm asking, would attempts be made in the interest of equity? Minister of Finance, please. Madam, I ask your protection.
Members, I recognize the member for Naparimo.
Nicely so. Thank you, Madam. Would you make attempts in the interest of equity to ensure that the 25,000 young people under 30 in the Naparimo, at least one, will access it next in this 500,000 budget?
We had one in San Fernando, Madam Chair, which is not that far. However, I sure we only have 8. There are 41 constituencies. We only have 8 of these youth facilities. I sure all of the other MPs, well, we also wanted to have a facility put in their location. But this 500,000 does not represent us putting a facility in Naparimo.
Madam Speaker, may I ask that you advertise it nationally so all of us can have an equal chance of accessing it? And it would not favor those in areas where the facilities are located.
Madam Chair, I'll try my best and this government to reverse the inequity that was given under the last regime in Naparimo.
Member for Princess Town.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, line item 03 and 04. My question on these 2 line items is the same, Madam. If you look at 03, allocation of 500,000, National Mentorship Program, 2.3 million. Madam, my question to the Honourable Minister is with respect to these two items, whether or not there has been any exploration of public-private partnerships or gaining international subventions. I know the UN and the Commonwealth have programs like these where countries can access those subventions, as well as the Asian Development Bank. Similarly, other countries like ours have accessed these, whether these have been explored together with public-private partnerships.
Madam Chair, we are looking at that.
Madam, just a follow-up, again on 3 and 04.
Members looking at 03 and 04.
Is it that the Honourable Minister is saying that in the future it will be looked at and currently it is not on the cards?
It's currently being looked at.
And could you indicate at what stage is it at?
We're doing a new youth policy, Madam Chair, for the 5th time, which will incorporate all these issues.
Madam, can I ask the Honourable Minister whether or not any advances have been made towards these international organizations that I've named, which has subventions for these? Has there been any advances?
But what does this have to do with this line item?
I think the answer was it's being looked at and it will be considered under the new youth policy.
And not only that.
And I'm sure the minister most probably recognizes that you are pointing in a direction for more funding. And he will take that into account.
Yes,
I think that's what I've gleaned.
We are aware of it, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your assistance, Madam. I just really wanted to get the point as to whether or not it is being done or it will be done.
Madam
so I'm
Chairman,
getting
that's
to
about
the
the
point that
fourth
it will
time
be
as
done,
well.
but it's not being done.
The member is just summarizing what
Thank
he
you,
said,
Madam.
member,
For the
please.
4th time.
Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to ask the Honourable Minister on the same line item 04, earlier in his statement he had indicated that there were consultations. If the Honourable Minister can
Madam
identify...
Chairman, may I ask as a point of clarification, how many times is a member of Parliament allowed to visit the same subhead?
100.
Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5, because that's the 6th time that member has gone on that sub-item.
If the Honourable Minister...
Member, could you kindly ask your question? I
Thank
recognize you, please.
Just to identify with whom the stakeholders that the ministry has consulted with. That's all. Thanks.
I didn't hear the question, Madam Chair.
You indicated that you had extensive consultations to develop this policy in the process.
We started the consultation process.
And
We
if
had
you
the
can
first one in
identify-
Tagarigua, and we're continuing with staff and throughout Trinidad and Tobago.
No, I just need to know who
It's
are-
ongoing.
Okay, and if you can identify the stakeholders that you have been consulting with, you started
Well,
with and continuing.
But there's only been one consultancy.
But apart from that, what that has to do with the line item, Madam Chair?
Because it's a policy being developed.
Yes, but what the member said, because there's anything here marked youth policy.
Yes, there is nothing to do with
There's
the policy
nothing here marked
here.
youth policy. But the
Nothing.
member offered it in terms of certain suggestions that were given from the other side, that it would be considered with the policy. So, as I said, maybe your question will be facilitated in another forum. We move on. Item 009, other transfers, page 372. Member for Chaguanas West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Item 04, the Sport Company of Trinidad and Tobago, an allocation of $80.2 million. I would like to find out the principal items associated with this allocation. And secondly, whether or not Walker Park falls within the ambit of this allocation for refurbishment and attention.
Madam Chair, we have a number of facilities that we're looking at. So I don't have it in front of me for Walker Park. Every MP has a facility that wants work, but I can tell you what the $80 million is. As you know, last fiscal year, we opened several new facilities as well, including the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. And we have a number of others to open. And this number here relates to the maintenance and running of those facilities.
Follow up, Madam Speaker, I would implore the member as minister that the Walker Park has a historical legacy.
Yes, I'm aware of the park.
Very well, so that therefore it ought to be included in your planning.
Okay.
The second question I have is with respect to item 13, National Football Development Plan. This allocation of $50,000, what is meant to do?
Madam Chair, and this is a small figure that we're working at with the grassroots development that we're doing, that we're working with the TTFA. We're going to be looking at working with the schools and so on with this, Madam.
So this is just merely a kind of inception funding?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In this 80,200,000, Mr. Minister, is 04, Madam Chair. Is any allocation there for the Atobolan Stadium in Cuba?
Madam Chair, as I said before, this figure represents all the facilities that we utilize, that we own, and that we maintain and run on a daily basis. So I think I answered that in the first. Atobolan is part of our slew of stadium that we run.
So this means that part of this allocation will be utilized to complete a security review of the operations of that stadium?
Yes.
When will it be completed?
They're finalizing now.
So we expect the stadium to be reopened for the use of persons in the Cuba area.
The stadium is open for the whole world to come to.
No, Mr. Minister.
We just hosted a game against the U.S. there.
We are speaking about the people who utilize the stadium for keeping fit and walking and...
Oh, the people who use the roadway.
Not the roadway. Don't be rude and arrogant.
Not...
But please.
What is that?
I am the member of Parliament for Cuba South.
Why is he shouting?
And I don't expect you to be rude and arrogant to the people out there.
Do these people use the Atobolan Stadium? Do they use inside the stadium?
Behave yourself.
The inside the stadium?
Side of the stadium.
No, they don't, Madam Chair.
They
do not use the inside of the stadium. They use the car park and the pavements outside.
Member.
Oh, no, Madam Chair. No, come on.
Member.
We can't have this.
Member, that is uncalled for.
They don't go inside the stadium.
Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I was elected to advocate on the issues affecting the people of Cuba South and environs, and I will do so. Nobody will stymie me in pursuing my responsibilities.
No, this is unacceptable behavior. Rude and obnoxious.
Member for Diego Martin Northeast, please. Member for Diego Martin Northeast. Member for Naparima. Member for Cuba South. I really think it's unfortunate that you took the response in that kind of way. It could be that the member did not understand what you were asking, because from where I sit, it was a really very broad question. So nobody's stopping you from your representative capacity. Okay? So all I'll ask you to do is to just recoil a bit. Okay? Nobody here is being arrogant, rude, nobody. Okay? We may sometimes misunderstand each other. We may sometimes misunderstand each other. But you see, the member for Tabaki told us something yesterday. If we don't remember, but it is worth us recalling, that each of us took an eye for an eye, we'll all be blind. All right? So, let's recall. Nobody's being rude, we're striking that. Could you ask the question you want the answer for? Because you didn't ask that question. And I was sitting here.
Madam Speaker, I asked the...
And is it dealing with the line item?
This kind of...
No, member.
Oh, gosh.
Member. You are well seasoned here. Okay? So, ask the question that you want to ask.
Yes, to my good friend, the Minister of Sport.
I like that.
Good start.
Based on the completion of the strategic review, of the security review, I am simply seeking an answer of when the stadium will be reopened for the benefit of the people of Cuba and environs.
As soon as possible, Madam Chair.
Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 11. 11. Can the Honorable Minister indicate the number of disputes before the board and how many have in fact been
That's 11, 09, 11.
amicably resolved?
Madam Chair, this is for the first time we'll be doing this in Trinidad and Tobago, a dispute resolution center, and we're working on that and finalizing that this quarter. It will be started, and athletes, coaches, whoever, any disputes that they have in sports will be able to go to a facility and do it behind closed doors rather than airing it out in the public. So this quarter it will be done.
Therefore, yeah, thank you. Therefore, I saw there was an allocation in 2016. What was that for?
Getting things ready and doing. We did consultations at Radisson and other places. We've been discussing and so on to get it going.
That's 11. Okay. All right. So item 011, transfers to state enterprises, page 372. Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, to the Minister, line item 01, the First Citizens Bank Limited repayment of loan for the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium. I see under the 2018 estimates, 67,872,986. Could the Honourable Minister indicate at this point, going into 2018, what is the outstanding amount on this loan agreement?
My team, my finance team will put that in writing for you. You'll have it to them.
Okay.
We will now move on to the draft estimates of the development program. Subhead 09, development program. We now at page 162, new book, consolidated fund. Item 004, social infrastructure, page 162, 163, and 164.
I am on page 163.
Yes.
Under youth development, if the Honourable Minister would provide some clarity with respect to line items 008, 009, and 010, which are all identified as new projects. But as you can see, it just says implementation of the National Youth Policy refurbishment of the training facilities, youth development apprenticeship centers. I'm particularly, though, interested in 008 with respect to the implementation of the youth policy with an allocation of 1.5. If the Minister can, at a later date, if not now, but flesh out really what is the intention of the National Youth Policy and what are the implementation measures. Secondly, 009, the refurbishment of youth training facilities. Which facilities are these? What is the scope of works? And similarly with line item 010, with an allocation of 4 million as a new project.
Madam Chair, I take the Princestown's advice, and it's a lot, so we'll put it in writing. Sure.
Madam, sorry, looking at line item 096 on page 162, we see the upgrade of swimming pools at a cost of $2 million, an estimate there for 2018. Could the Honourable Minister indicate which swimming pools, what are the locations, and the scope of work for each, please?
Madam Chair, again, it's a long list that
Yes.
we have. I could provide it in writing.
Great.
Several that we've done. Yeah.
And also, if we look at 117, improvement to indoor sporting arenas. Similarly, I know that that information may not be at your fingertips,
Yes.
Minister.
I have it here, but it's a lot.
Sure, if you
Yeah.
can provide it in writing. And line item 123, I was particularly concerned about this particular line item, to conduct a national sport and recreational census. What will be the objective of this census, and how do you intend to utilize this information with respect to the data in improving the quality of service and delivery in the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, considering all the problems that they have been plagued with over the past year?
Well, I think it's timing is wrong. We didn't have much problems the last year. We had it the previous 6 years. But nevertheless, the recreational census is first to work with regards to, if you'll notice, there are a number of facilities that are lit throughout Trinidad and Tobago, a number of parks that are not being utilized, and these lights are burning through the night. We're looking to do a census to see what the use and how we could get those facilities being used at the grassroots level.
096, upgrading of swimming pools. 124, construction of Diego Martin Sporting Complex. Looking on item 14, refurbishment of youth training facilities.
All right, so Chairman,
all I want to do is, yes, if any of these improvements, name one related to Naparima constituency.
Chairman, let's move on.
So I could go through them individually.
But member, might I say, right, as the representative, upgrading means it exists.
Yes.
So I hope you know whether
5 years.
a swimming pool exists there. All right. All right. So you're not asking that question?
Collectively. I seek your guidance. Because all I'm asking him is to name one. Solo uno.
Madam Chair, and I was hoping that between 2010 and 2015, the inequity that was shown to Naparima, we have 3 more years, hopefully that we could fix that.
Okay.
So the answer is 0.
0 based on 2010
0
to
based on
15.
20. Thank you.
Member for
move on.
Princess Town?
Thank you, Madam.
It was intended, member, for St. Joseph to be a light movement. All right?
Let there be light, St.
Naparima
Joseph.
just intended that to be a light movement. Remember, as I said, he just intended it to be a light moment.
In 2 years.
Member.
What line item is this, Madam Chairman?
They take pattern from their leader.
May I ask, what is the line item we are dealing with?
We move on.
That has caused all of this
Member for Princess Town.
misconduct on the part of the opposition?
Thank you, Madam. I'll try not to annoy my colleague from St. Joseph, but just one more line item. Line item 008, installation of a wide area network on page 164 with an allocation of 1 million. We saw an expenditure of 898,379 in 2016. If the Honourable Minister can indicate with respect to this particular program under administrative services, multi-sectoral and other services.
She didn't call her, the chairman didn't reach her.
Everybody, so we're now going to...
Page 1.
Page 164.
You jumped the gun.
Yes, we're now going to item 005, multi-sectoral and other services, page 164. Member for Princess Town.
Thank you, ma'am. My apologies. Line item 008 I'm looking at. The installation of a wide area network, as I said, an allocation there in 2016, 898,000 having been spent. Similarly in 2017, and now we're seeing in 2018, an allocation of 1 million. We would like some details with respect to the installation of a wide area network. I'm guessing this is an ICT program. If we can find out which areas are being targeted, as it is very vacuous with respect to this wide area network.
Madam Chair, that's what the term is called, wide area network. But nevertheless, most of our facilities had no internet as access prior. Of course, a number of young people go there. They do homework and so on. And so something that we're doing a program throughout the country where we're going to be having all our facilities have this network.
So Minister, Naparima can take comfort that it will be affecting Naparima in a positive way. It's very wide. Thank you, Minister.
Light movement.
Infrastructure Development Fund, page 250. Member for Kamuta Manzanilla, you're still on Consolidated Fund. This is item 005, multi-sectoral and other services. Please proceed.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, 009, develop a domestic sport and research database. If you can expand on that, please.
Yeah. Madam Chair, this, as you know, when we came in, this was part of our mandate, our manifesto to do database and make decision based on proper information, analyze data, and we are continuing this process in 2018. And it's been working very well so far.
Member for Kamuta Manzanilla.
How does this differ from the census?
This is more micro information rather than macro, so we're going in depth with regards to the various sports. We'll be working with all the NGBs to get that information in, all the youth organizations to get that information in, so we can make proper decisions moving forward.
Infrastructure Development Fund, page 250, the same book. Item 004, Social Infrastructure, pages 250 and 251. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $302,407,827 for Head 68, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $302,407,827 for Head 68, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, now stand part of the schedule. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you, PS, and all the other technocrats. Head 30, Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development. Here it is.
One in Monrepo, which is 10 feet away from him. He feel we don't know where Naparima is, 10 feet away from him. Go quite a point up here and all. Naparima has reached point up here.
Okay, so we now resume. And what took place in the little break remains in the break. Okay, so what took place in the break remains in the break. Head 30, Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development. Head 30, Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, $372,450,800. I will now invite the Minister of Labor and Small Enterprise Development to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes. Madam Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to this Honorable House. Madam Chair, we are indeed grateful for the opportunity to meet with the distinguished members of this House, the Standing Finance Committee, to discuss our budgetary allocations for the fiscal year 2017 to 2018. Madam Chair, it is well known that this government is forced to do more with less and ensuring value for money in not only this ministry, but all ministries. When I assumed the responsibility as Minister of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, I sought to inculcate these values and to promote the mindset that we must harness our internal resources and maximize our partnerships with stakeholders and international organizations to fulfill the mandates of this ministry. Madam Chair, I am very pleased to say that we, as a ministry, we have been doing remarkably well with the limited resources provided. This is also attributed to the innovation and creativity of the executive team and staff at this ministry and their commitment in going beyond the call of duty. Madam Chair, we have been seeing the fruits of our collective efforts reflected in the developments in the labor market, For example, there has been a progressive and incremental decline in the unemployment rate from 4.4% at the end of the second quarter of 2016 to 4.0% in the third quarter of 2016, and then 3.6% at the end of the fourth quarter of 2016. So that, Madam Chair, over the past year, we have made significant progress in our labor legislative and policy agendas, as well as in the area of small enterprise development. We have held national stakeholder consultations on 9 pieces of labor legislation to date and submitted 4 draft policy position papers to Cabinet on the amendment of the Industrial Relations Act, the amendment of the Retrenchment and Benefits Act, the Cooperative Societies Act, and the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperatives Act, respectively. Cabinet approved the policy position paper on the amendment of the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies Act, and it was referred to the Ministry of the Attorney General for the preparation of a bill. And I am duly informed that a first draft from the Honorable Attorney General's office has been received by this office, and we are currently reviewing that draft bill. Madam Chair, over the past year, we have also revised and obtained Cabinet's approval for 2 major policies. That is the National Policy on Cooperatives and the National Workplace Policy on HIV/AIDS. I'm also pleased to report, Madam Chair, that we have made significant strides in the transitioning of the on-the-job training program from the National Training Agency to the Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, and that target was achieved effective May 31st, 2017. As part of this process, we have sought to restructure this program to place greater focus on the quality of training provided to trainees in line with their areas of interest. Madam Chair, our initiatives in the past year with respect to small business development included rationalization of the roles of the various entities such as NETCO and the Enterprise Development Division of the Ministry to avoid duplication of efforts and to enhance efficiency, preparation of fair share clients, and to embrace the new procurement legislation. Madam Chair, in the fiscal year 2017 to 2018, we will undertake critical work in keeping with the National Development Strategy 2016 to 2030 and the National Performance Framework 2017 to 2020. Our top priority in this ministry, Madam Chair, is to accelerate work on the labor legislative agenda with the intention of reaching the stage of legislative amendments to key pieces of legislation such as the Industrial Relations Act of 1972 as amended, the Retrenchment and Severance Benefit Act, the Workmen's Compensation Act, and the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Additionally, we will work on developing 3 important national policies, namely a labor migration policy, a policy for the prevention and elimination of child labor in Trinidad and Tobago, and a national workplace policy on contract employment in government ministries, departments, and statutory authorities. Madam Chair, emphasis will be placed on improving the reach and accessibility of the services offered by this ministry. For example, the newly occupied Tobago campus of the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies will be properly outfitted to afford the same high-quality tertiary education to our brothers and sisters in Tobago as in Trinidad. The San Fernando and Tobago offices of the Occupational Safety and Health Agency will be relocated to more conducive environments. In closing, Madam Chair, we look forward to a fruitful and productive session here this afternoon that will redound to the benefit of the people of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It is within that context, Madam Chair, that we therefore avail ourselves to this esteemed House for the conduct of the exercise this afternoon. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Honourable members, the question is that the sum of $372,450,800 for Head 30, Ministry of Labour and Small Enterprise Development, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $372,450,800 for Ed 30, Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure, the draft estimates of revenue and expenditure of the statutory boards and similar bodies and of the Tobago House of Assembly, and the draft estimates of the development program. We now proceed to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. And we are at page 206. Subhead 01, personnel expenditure, page 206, item 001, general administration. Item 002, cooperatives. Member for Couva South.
Madam Chair, you taking any question on 01?
No, we have reached item 002, cooperatives. I called out the page and I was extremely pointed in asking the question a week. I actually looked at you over my glasses.
You looked at?
Because I felt you would have been asking a question. So we're at item 002, cooperatives.
All right, I'll come back.
South.
Item, okay, though, next one.
Couva South, item 002, cooperatives. Or can we move on? Item 003, friendly societies, member for Couva South.
So, under 06, Madam Chair, remuneration to board members. I see an increase of 477,000. Could the minister provide clarification on how this is being disbursed?
Madam Chair, quite simply, we were able to make good a commitment given to the stakeholders belonging to the friendly societies that we will reconstitute the Friendly Societies Council after a period of 6 years. And that is what we did, so that the increase is to take care of the payment of remuneration for those board members.
So I see that there was an allocation of 177,000 for 2017. So that means, Minister, you weren't able to reconstitute it in 2017.
Madam Chair, I repeat for the benefit of my friend, the council was reconstituted in 2017.
So, in the revised estimate, did you, the allocation of 177,000, was it fully utilized?
No, no.
What percentage?
We have not utilized any.
So no.
That means we have not paid any board remuneration.
So no reconstitution in 2017.
There was a...
Minister, I think that question was answered by the minister already. Okay. Kamucha Manzanilla, are you asking a question?
The Honorable Minister indicate, in fact, how many members are on the board, please?
There are 9 members on the Friendly Societies Council.
Item 004, Occupational Safety and Health Authority. Member for Chaguanas West.
The Occupational Health and Safety Authority. I'd like to find out, because it's perhaps a legacy, what is the status of the employees now that you have the Occupational Health and Safety of the factory inspectorate that served in the Ministry of Labor?
I don't understand in what context you are asking the question in terms of their status.
Is there existing a department called the Factory Inspectorate in the in the Ministry of Labor?
Well, Member for Chaguanas West, with the coming on stream of the Occupational Safety and Health Authority, they would have taken over the role played by the old factory inspectorate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wanted you to contextualize your question.
No, my question really is really, you had an establishment in the old public service of factory inspectors, inspectorate personnel. Is that eliminated and there's a new designation?
Oh, indeed, it was abolished with OSHA coming on stream. That old division was abolished.
Okay.
Member for Kumucha Mansinala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 06. Could you tell me how many persons on the board, and how does the board impact upon improving the
No. Member for Couva South. Please, I am allowing her to ask the question. Okay?
Chair.
Member, your question is?
Just for the government who didn't hear, 9 is for the previous.
Member, ask your question, please.
For the line number 06, how many members constitute the board weight? And
There
also,
are 16 members assigned to this board.
And how does this board contribute to the betterment of OSHA in Trinidad and Tobago?
Actually, Madam Chair, it was this present board that has sought to strengthen the workforce within the OSHA authority and brought a higher level of awareness of workplace responsibility to Trinidad and Tobago through the various arms of the media and social media.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In terms of the composition of the board, I would expect that there are representatives of government, labor, and the business community, Madam Minister.
Madam Chairman, can I intervene here? The board is a function of statute. It's in legislation, and that's in the public domain. So there's no need to speculate about it.
I am asking a question in relation to the remuneration to board members, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair.
Remuneration to board members is handled by the Ministry of Finance.
But there's a line
since
item.
You were a minister in that ministry, so you know that the Ministry of Finance classifies entities such as this and puts them into a category for the payment of fees. You know that. You did that. So don't ask things that you know.
I am asking whether, in terms of the composition of the board, Madam Minister, is there a labor representative in keeping with the being the most representative as defined by the International Labour Organization?
Wouldn't the Act define the various disciplines for the members?
Just said that.
The Act may define
me
in, you see, Madam Speaker, if I'm allowed to finish my presentation, in another board that fell under the Ministry of Labor and Enterprise Development, representatives of labor had to go to court to ensure that there was a representative on the board, most representative of labor, as defined by the International Labour Organization. And that is my simple inquiry here this evening. But the Minister of Finance seems to be hell-bent.
What's the question?
I already asked the question.
What is it?
So the question is the member of labor certified under the...
No. Is in terms of the composition of the OSH Authority Board, is there a labor representative, most representative of labor as defined by the International labor organization.
There's compliance with the statute.
Madam Chair, through you, yes.
Could I ask who is that representative? Madam Minister?
The representative was Mario Alves, and he has since been replaced. Natak would have forwarded, I can't recall the exact name, but Natak would have forwarded another name.
Okay. Natak's nominee.
And if you are so kind to give me or advise me in writing.
I don't have to, Madam Chair, I already provided the answer to the Honorable Member of Parliament. I see no need to reduce it in writing.
Public domain.
Madam Chair, am I making an, what I would call an illogical request?
Yes.
To have the information forwarded to me as a member of this meeting in writing?
Member? Is this a matter in the public domain?
Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I am asking, the minister said she cannot recollect. And I am simply trying to avail myself to the information.
And I am just asking you whether this would be information in the public domain.
I do not know if the board has been fully filled by the cabinet and so on, and this is why I am seeking the information.
Yes, what I've been told by the minister, it's a matter in the public domain. But I'll also tell you, if it is not, if you cannot find it, you will have another opportunity to get what you want.
And
okay?
I hope, Madam Chair, that you will certainly play your role in fulfilling that request on my behalf.
Item 005. On the job training program, pages 211 and item 005 on the job training program, page 207. Member for Shagona cease.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, with respect to line item 01, salaries and COLA, can you indicate, since the program has now been, is now at your ministry, and you indicated successfully transferred from the National Training Agency on May 31st, 2017, can you say how many workers are permanently employed, how many are on contract, and how many are on short-term employment? See the Minister of Finance,
Pardon me?
Oh. Yeah, how many are permanent employees, how many contract, and how many short-term?
Consistent with the decision of the cabinet to realign the on-the-job training program. Under the current OJT program, the current staff complement of the OJT program is as follows. You have 42 contract workers, 20 on the establishment with one vacant position.
Okay. Can I just, I don't know if I have the correct number. The previous count would have been about 116 before it was transferred.
Pardon me?
The previous to this realignment, would there have been 116 persons on the establishment?
Oh, you're asking?
Just asking. Just to compare.
What was the previous employee population prior to the transitioning?
Yeah.
There would have been 107 former employees.
Okay. Of those 107, Honorable Minister, can you say how many of those were retained or re-employed?
In keeping with best practices, all the positions, all 42 contract positions were advertised. For all informal employees of the on-the-job training program were encouraged to apply for those positions. They were all interviewed, and at the end of the interviewing process, a very transparent process, I must say, 22 of those former members are currently employed in the program.
And how many would have been on the permanent establishment and rehired? Would they have been on permanent establishment? Did you have any?
Well, I am not aware that there were permanent employees. Member for Chaguanas East, as the former line minister with responsibility for this program, you would be well aware that all those positions were contract positions.
I just want to know maybe what happened since I had left.
Well, they were transitioned under the Ministry of Labor.
Can I
and
ask
Small
what is the
Enterprise.
vacant position that continues to
Pardon
be
me?
vacant? Can I just ask, you said there was one vacant?
Yes.
What is that position that continues to be vacant? And how long has it been vacant for?
The monitoring and evaluation officer, and that position is a contract position.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. To the Minister again, if I could recollect, you said that 22 former employees are now in the reconstituted program, have been employed in the reconstituted program.
22 former employees, yes.
And you said that
They were successful at the interview process.
and you said that there was 107 in the previous entity.
Indeed.
Of that 107 in the previous entity, could you inform this meeting how much applied to become employed in this new entity?
Out of 107 members.
Member, under what item are we?
On the job training program, Madam
What line
Chair.
item are we?
Salaries and cost of living, Madam Chair.
Chairman, may I ask for which year? Which year are you referring to? 2018?
2018, because there's an allocation of 950,000
Yeah, but those
for
900
salaries and cost of
950.
living, Madam Chair, and I am simply in the interest of transparency and good governance. I am asking in terms of this allocation, how many persons in the old entity would have applied back in the new entity for employment?
The minister has already said how many from the former entity are now employed.
Yes.
And the former entity wasn't under this ministry.
This item, yes, it was somewhere else.
It was somewhere else, but it was a
Not in this
reconstituted
line
program.
item.
It is
It
a
was in science and
it
skills
falls
training.
under.
All right, members.
It
All
falls
right.
under the same on the job training program.
But not
on this
under this
item.
All right, so, member for Scuba South, I will allow you if you have another question to ask. If not, I'll move on to member for Chaguanas East.
We do not want the country to know how many people reapplied for these jobs. Cover up on the part of the government.
Member, I just want you to be careful again with what you say. Because you, as well as I know, there are opportunities to get that kind of information that you wish. Okay? But not under the process in which we are currently engaged. Okay? Member for Chaguanas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a very quick one. Honorable Minister, with respect to this allocation in 2018, is it correct to say that one of the persons who is currently on the establishment, the director, would have been that very director before you had the transition?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so sub-ed 02, goods and services, page 208. Item 001, general administration, pages 208 and 209. Item 002, corporators, page 209. Item 003, friendly societies, page 220. 210, sorry. Item 004, occupational safety and health authority, pages 210 to 211. Member for Couva South.
Madam Chair, you're on 004.
004 Occupational Safety and Health Authority, pages 210 and 211.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under 08 Office Accommodation and Storage, could the Minister advise if the building that currently houses the Occupational Safety and Health Authority is fully OSHA compliant?
Madam Chair, I would like to inquire from the Honourable Member of Parliament which one of the buildings to which he refers.
In terms of the main building?
And where I don't follow the Honourable Member.
Where your headquarters located?
From my information, are you referring to the building on Duke Street or Alexander Street?
Madam Chair, I do have jurisdiction over the ministry. I am simply asking the questions. I expect the minister to tell me where her head office is and which office is OSHA compliant and so on. I am not in charge of the ministry, Madam
With regards to Alexander Street, we are awaiting the fire certificate.
So it's unfit in terms of OSHA compliance?
I do not agree with your perspective.
So the building has not been fully certified by the fire services?
Madam Chair, the OSHA authority is awaiting the certificate from fire services, and the feedback is that that certificate is expected anytime because the building is compliant.
How long has the ministry been awaiting this particular report?
I will not allow that under this item.
Okay, could I find out, Madam Chair, what is the status at the Duke Street office?
I am duly informed that the fire service certificate will cover Alexander Street and Duke Street.
Okay, Madam Minister, so the employees of both institutions are not fully covered by the OSHA Act then?
I don't understand what you mean not fully covered by the OSHA Act. Which aspect of the Act are you making reference to?
Madam Chair, based on the difficulty the minister is having, I rest my case.
Madam Chair, I am not having a difficulty at all. I am merely responding to the Honourable Member of Parliament.
I think the Member of Parliament has just conceded he's no longer interested in finding out the information. Okay? We now move on to item 005 on the job training program, pages 211 to 212. Member for Chaguanas East.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Honourable Minister, line item 08, rent lease, office accommodation and storage.
Just a minute.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, yes.
Yeah, page 211, line item 08.
Yes.
Can you say what are these locations that are being rented and the cost of it, if you have it?
The individual costs?
Yeah.
What I can share with you is that the payment is for rent for 3 properties.
Which are these?
31 Sackville Street, Port of Spain. 3 Freeland Street, San Fernando. And 16 Warner Street, St. Augustine.
Are these, Honourable Minister, are these properties currently being utilized?
No, with the realignment of the OGT program to the Ministry of Labor, we are in the final stages of arranging warehousing to store the furniture from these three offices.
Can you say, therefore, how long now these offices are not being used, but rent is being paid?
I would say for approximately a 3-month period.
Do you have
4 months. 4 months, yes.
Okay. You have an idea as to what that total cost might be, as on the average? That are being expended? Okay. Might you be able to give us that in writing?
Certainly.
Okay. The new locations you plan to go to, do you have an idea as to where they will be?
Actually, in integrating the on-the-job training program into the Ministry of Labor, it is now a division of labor, so that we are utilizing the ministry's satellite offices.
Okay.
However, the head office remains for the time being on Connector Road.
Oh, it stays at Connector Road. Okay. Just another question, Madam Chair. Honourable Minister, might you be able to say how many trainees would have applied to be placed on the OJT program in 2017 by levels, how many, and how many in fact were placed? Item number 17, training.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Madam Chair. The number of applicants by levels and the number placed for 2017 by levels.
This is for what year, 2018?
No, 2017. Well, if you don't have it, well,
But
you would have just been completed the transition, so you might have an idea as to what it is, because in May you moved, the transition.
Well, with regards to the current situation, the program is still being integrated with some very interesting, a very interesting scenario emerging. A rather interesting scenario emerging. But what I can share with you, I cannot tell you at this point in time the placement for the period June 2017 to present. But I can share with you the period 2016 to 2017.
You have those, or you want to supply it in writing?
In the central region, the number of persons who were placed, I can give you it by regions.
But I'd like to have number of people who applied as well. So the number of applicants, the number placed.
Well, I can't
you see, that will give me a sense as to the responsiveness of the program.
I can't give you at this point in time the number of persons who would have applied, the number of young persons who would have registered for the program.
Well, can you undertake to supply it in writing, the number applied by levels and the number placed by levels?
Madam Chair, we cannot provide that information with immediacy, because the program, there's a verification exercise underway. We have identified a number of ghost trainees in this program, and therefore we will have to await the outcome of the verification exercise.
Madam Chair, what I'm asking for, and I want to repeat what I'm asking for. All I'm asking for is that you can do your audit. I'm not asking about the consequence of the audit or the fine. But under training, that same item, I'd like to find out how many persons applied by levels and how many were placed.
No, hold on a second, please. This line item is training.
Yes.
So you're dealing specifically with training?
Yes, sir.
Nothing but training?
The allocation is $212 million.
What?
I mean, Minister of Finance, you are Minister of Science and Technology too. You were in charge of the OJT program. And all I'm asking for is an undertaking.
Training?
All I'm asking is an undertaking to give us some data. And then the question, if you want me to ask the question further now, I'll ask the question for you to tell us out of this allocation, how many persons you intend to hire for this amount of money for 2018?
How many persons you intend to train?
You must have a projection,
No,
man.
Madam Chairman,
as a minister, you would have had a projection.
Madam Chairman, the member is being very belligerent.
No, please.
Do you mean the
not.
trainees?
No.
Do you mean the trainees? What do you mean? Because they are being trained, they're not being employed.
Minister of Finance.
And you should ask your colleague down there, what is the difference between employment and training? Are you referring to the trainees? Yes or no?
Yes, I am.
So now you could deal with it.
Madam Chair, the OJT program aims to place approximately 5,000 persons at the end of fiscal 2017 to 2018.
Right. That is one of the answers I'm looking for. And what you could, and later on, after that, when you do your analysis, I'll be able to ask you to tell me by levels. So what I'm asking now is, before this, can you say, since you transition as of the 31st of May, can you give me some data for 2016-17 as to how many persons applied by levels and region, and how many were placed by levels and region? That data is readily available.
Well, you'll be able to get the information how many were placed by levels. As I indicated, Madam Chair, this is a program riddled with a lot of...
Members, what I'm going to, member for Shogunas West?
East, yeah.
Sorry, East. There's no allocation under this item for 2016 or 2017, whether actual estimates or revised estimates. Okay? So that I think I've allowed you sufficient time to exhaust this discussion. Again, I feel that you can pursue this in another forum. Member for Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My colleague Shagwana East raised a number of issues under 17. With respect to contract employment and the allocation of $6 million, Madam Minister, could you tell us how many persons will be hired as contract employees and in what categories, please?
Madam Chair, I repeat, there are 42 contract employees under the on-the-job training program, with one vacant position.
Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, I'm a little bit confused with line item 17. The Minister of Finance indicated that he was asking a question if we were asking how many persons were trained or how many persons were placed. So it begs the question, does that mean that persons who are trained may not necessarily be placed?
Ma'am, I'm not going to allow that question under training 17, which is a 2018 estimate. I don't think the minister could answer for the future. Okay? Based on what we have here. Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, page 212, item 001, general administration, page 212. Item 002, cooperatives, page 212, member for Couva South. Item 003, friendly societies, page 213. Item 004, occupational safety and health authority, page 213. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies, page 213. Item 003, United Nations organizations. Item 004, international bodies. Item 005, non-profit institutions, page 214. Member for Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see that in the under 03, there was an allocation of $1 million in 2017 to the National Trade Union Center, and under 07 to an allocation again of 1 million to the joint trade union movement. And I've not seen any allocation for 2018. Is there any particular reason that there's no allocation? And did the minister or the ministry receive any grant from the Federation of Independent Trade Unions?
Madam Chair, that is a question I would suggest that the honorable member direct to the Honorable Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance.
Ma'am, I can't direct the Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance, can you assist?
Could you just summarize your question, please? In a few words? Without a preamble?
Thank you, Mr. Minister. I don't know if, because in terms of the line items 03 and 07, allocations were there for 2017. Any particular reason there is no allocation for 2018? And was any application for any support came from the Federation of Independent Trade Unions?
Just a second, Madam Chairman. Naparima is playing some video game. He's gone now. Madam Speaker, there was a provision in previous years.
Madam Chair, we're dealing with what year?
I said in previous years there was a provision.
Okay.
And one of the groups that was identified declined to accept the subvention, and the other one, there were discussions and so on. As we move forward into 2018, we have to be aware of our challenging financial circumstances. It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
You're welcome.
Madam Speaker, whilst I'm on the same page, I am on 009, so I'll wait.
Okay. Item 007, households. Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed that this line item has a decrease of 235. Honorable Minister, can you say these numbers we have here from 16 and 17, what were they for? What were they used for? Because the question I asked before indicated that you did not have jurisdiction, but if you can tell me what these numbers were used for.
Which numbers are you referring to?
16, 17, under line item 03 on the job training program.
You're referring to 347.
Plus 280 plus 235. Yeah.
And you wanted to find out the reason for the decrease?
Yeah, no, the allocation that, and the reason for the decrease.
What I can share with you is that since the OJTP was integrated as a division of the ministry with effect from June 1st, 2017, Cabinet agreed to the establishment of a sub-accounting unit staffed by established public service positions, and therefore a new item number 005 has been created with regards to accounting for the expenses of the OJTP.
So you had responsibility for the OJT program since that time?
Let me clarify. With the change of administration, the on-the-job training program was transferred from the ministry, the previous Ministry of Skills Training.
Yeah, TEST.
Skills Training, to the Ministry of Labor.
Right.
But it was being administered by the National Training Agency. So it was not a direct division of the Ministry of Labor. So the Ministry of Labor had responsibility in a contextual sense, but the program was managed by the NTA. It is now being managed directly by the ministry as a division of the ministry. That's the difference.
So is it correct to say, Minister of Finance, that these figures represent some measure of responsibility on the part of the Ministry of Labour for the OJT program?
These figures represent the allocations given to the Ministry of Labour for onward transmission to the National Training Agency
And therefore,
in the prior years, and now in this year as a division of the Ministry.
And therefore would have been...
I think you're asking answers.
No, I just wanted to clear it just to make
I mean, clearly the allocation is in the Ministry of Labour. What are you
so
asking?
therefore they have responsibility for the program since that time.
But clearly it's an allocation to the Ministry of Labour.
Right.
It's not
And
in the Ministry of Skills
therefore
Training.
it confirms the question I was asking before. Anyway,
Why are you
I'll end the
asking
question.
something that is obvious?
I'll end the question.
09, other transfers, page 240.
You could drink some.
Member for Chaguanas West.
Madam Chair, item 01, National Entrepreneurship Development Company. There is an allocation of 20 million in 2018 and expenditure of 24 million in 2017. I'd like to find out how many persons benefited from this allocation in 2017 of the allocation of $24 million.
How many persons applied for loans?
Applied, and how many loans were granted?
Approximately 500 plus loans were granted for the period 2016 to 2017.
And how many applicants were there?
I am informed that the applications would be just slightly over 500, which indicate the majority.
Could the Honourable Minister undertake to provide a list of the applicants, a list of the persons who were granted loans, and the quantum and the nature of the business associated with those loans?
Madam Chair, I am being reminded of the confidentiality of such records.
No, but this is state monies. This is taxpayer allocation. There is no confidentiality associated when you access that. Maybe the part about the nature of the business,
Madam
but certainly
Madam
the quantum and the beneficiary.
The member of Shogunas,
I fully support
is
the
an
member for
experienced member.
Shogunas West.
Banking information is confidential.
No,
This confidential leakage of confidential information can cause someone to lose their job, We had no less than a governor of a central bank being involved in that,
Well,
leaking information.
He's taking you to court, so that's a separate issue. He's taking you to court. Madam Chair, this is an allocation by the taxpayer of $24 million. This is monies being allocated by not a bank. This is monies being allocated by a state enterprise. And that therefore public funds being allocated by a state enterprise. The quantum must be, and the persons who are the beneficiaries of this.
It's confidential information.
Will apply to the FYE.
Exactly.
No, the FYE will, anyway.
Exactly.
So that therefore we ought to have an inquiry? Okay.
Member for Point of Pear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The 01 National Entrepreneurship Development Company and the Shark Tank concept that was in the budget, is it correlated to this company?
No.
So that's slush fund now.
Member for Couva South.
Yes, Madam Chair. On other transfers 01, just to follow up on the question posed by the member for Chaguanas West, in terms of the pronouncement by the Minister of Finance, could he advise this meeting under what authority he is acting in relation to withholding that information from this meeting?
Madam Chairman, I think we have dealt with this issue effectively.
So, Madam Chair, if I could ask the NETCO falls under any special legislation that allows the Minister of Finance to make this broad pronouncement?
I think that question has been asked and answered.
Subhead 06, current transfers to statutory boards and similar bodies. Member, we'll now go to the draft estimates of the revenue and expenditure of statutory boards and similar bodies and of the Tobago House of Assembly. We're at page 185. 17, Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure 001, General Administration, page 185. Member for Couva South.
Under 01, salaries and cost of living, could the Minister advise this meeting as it relates to what the increase of 1,683,000 reflects?
Could you repeat that with regards to what?
Under 001, General Administration, 01, salaries and cost of living. The increase of $1,683,000. What does it reflect?
1 second, please, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I am informed that it represents a raise of salaries with regards to the bargaining units.
Madam Chair, and that will lead me, based on what the Minister has indicated, under 12, settlement of arrears to public officers. So 1,683,000 is being utilized for settlement of arrears, and we see another 2,974,000. What is this being utilized for? And for what period of collective bargaining? I'm kind of confused.
What are the outstanding periods? Madam Chair, I'm informed that the outstanding periods 2008 to 2010, 2011 to 2013, and 2014 to 2016.
Yes, Madam Minister, so which head fully disposes of the settlement to officers? Because you told me it was covered under 01, and I'm seeing under 12.
Well, I am informed that the increase in allocation is meant to cover possible increases in wages and salaries for the two bargaining units at the college, the academic and the non-academic staff.
So which allocation will cover that?
The allocation under 2018.
But which sub or item description, Madam Minister?
01.
01 will cover possible salary increases.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
And 1, 2 will cover, or 12 will cover settlement of arrests to public officers.
That is correct.
And there is no liability to any of the bargaining units.
For the period 2008 to 2010, we have not been able to fulfill that obligation for the non-academic staff.
So, could you quantify how much is being owed?
Madam Chair, we undertake to provide that information in writing.
Okay. And there's no other period there's any liability?
There is an outstanding obligation to the contract employees.
Okay.
To pay them increases. We have not been able to make that obligation as yet.
And the bargaining for the daily paid bargaining unit, Madam Minister, you said
there's no daily paid bargaining unit.
Well, if I could recollect.
Chairman, may I ask what line item this is, please?
12, Mr. Finance Minister, 01 and 12.
What's the relevance of daily paid bargaining unit here?
I am trying to qualify whether qualified response from the minister.
If there is none, what's the relevance?
No, I'm coming back. She said that there was an outstanding, the minister said that there was an outstanding sum of money for the period 2008 to 2010. And she said that it will be quantified. I am trying to find out if this was for the period 2008 to 2010, what really is affecting the full settlement of liabilities for this period. We are in 2017. That is all I'm trying to find out. Mr. Finance Minister.
Thank you very much for that very lucid explanation. Minister? You can answer that.
For the period 2008 to 2010 was signed in this year. This year. There was a situation where one of the bargaining units did not submit any proposals for new collective agreement, but signaled verbally that that particular union was prepared to accept what the other union had bargained for.
Personal expenditure. Subhead 02, goods and services. 001, general administration, pages 185 and 186. Member for Couva South.
Under contract employment 16, Madam Minister, there is a decrease of $2,521. Does this mean employees have not been rehired at the college, and if so, how many?
Firstly, let me point out that the part-time lecturers at the college make up 75% of the college's teaching staff. And the college proposes to seek to monetize its facilities to close that gap.
I'd rather use this, Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases 001, general administration, page 186. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies, 007, households. 009, other transfers. Honorable members, we will now move on to the draft estimates of development program. We're on page 81. Subhead 09, development program, consolidated fund. Item 003, economic infrastructure, pages 81 and 82. Item 004, social infrastructure, pages 82 to 84. Item 005, multi-sectoral and other services, pages 84 to 86. Member for Chaguanas East.
Madam Chair, I know you say pages 84 to 86, but when you get general public services, admin services, I'd like to ask a question, please.
You could ask it now.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, I am on line item 085, delinking the on-the-job training program from the National Training Agency. In 2017, there was an allocation of $2 million. Nothing was used. And this allocation is now reduced to $1.5 million. Could you say what this money was not used for? Yeah, and what is going to be used for now? What was it allocated for that it was not used, and what isn't now being allocated? Yeah, the 1.5 2018 is.
Are you referring to the 1.5 million?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
That will be used to procure and install a PBX system, procure and install a CCTV system, and procure and install video conferencing.
Ghost is not like that, eh?
Member for Couva South.
Madam Chair, 065, establishment of a social dialogue process in Trinidad and Tobago. I see that there was an allocation of $400,000 for the revised estimate of 2017, and under 2018 estimate there's zero. So what that tells me is the Ministry of Labor will not be pursuing any social dialogue initiative.
Yes. Madam Chair, just have the member exercise a little patience while I locate. Okay. Given that the social dialogue process has been established within the National Tripartite Advisory Council, that project would have come to an end, and a new project has been submitted and is referred to as the operationalization of the NTAC, for which funding has been allocated.
Labor Migration Policy, Minister. Was a labor policy done in 2017? I see that there was an allocation and then a reduced allocation in 28. You didn't use the money. Did you do a labor migration policy?
This ministry sought Cabinet's approval for the establishment of an interministerial committee for the development of that policy, and the note was deferred in December 2016 to the Finance and General Purposes Committee, and we are actively working towards identifying the various ministries, line ministries, for which that collaborative effort would be brought to fruition through approval. No. It is. I mean, this is very high in our priority list for 2017 to 2018.
Member for Carrie Central.
Labor. When you talk of a labor migration policy, do you mean to Trinidad and Tobago or from Trinidad and Tobago or both ways?
Both ways would be examined.
Okay. So the Canadian initiative with the truck drivers would have been sort of a forerunner to this?
No, that would have lied within the context of the 10-point plan.
Okay. Was it successful?
Well, we did have some exploratory discussions, but our investigations indicate that the person with whom we were engaging, we did not want to finalize such arrangements with.
All right.
Member for Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under 075, Minister, the development of a register of domestic employees, there's no allocation in 2018 and so on. What is the status? This has been completed.
The register was established in 2012, as you are aware, because you were assigned to the ministry during that period, Honorable Member, for Couva South.
No, I'm asking in the context of an allocation to of $197,000
I'm in the process of responding.
and $93 in 2016.
Madam Chairman, please.
Yeah, but remember, the minister has not yet given a response.
I didn't see anything in relation to 2012, Madam Chair. That is why I was a bit perplexed, and that is why I attempted to bring it back to 20. The figures and the line item before us.
We're not dealing with 2012.
If you would just give the minister an opportunity to develop her answer, please, and I think then you may ask a further question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. These issues always carry a bit of historical context, and it is in that vein that I was sharing with the Honorable Member for Couva South that the register was established in 2012 while he was there at the ministry. And since then, the work has been ongoing to populate the register. To date, 100 domestic workers have registered. There are challenges in domestic workers coming forward to register for fear of their job security and other reasons. Madam Chair, and persons on the register benefit from knowing their rights and responsibilities of the ministry. As a matter of fact, I am sure the Honorable Member may recall that this ministry highlighted the fact that domestic workers are workers through television ads for which the National Union of Domestic Employees, with whom this ministry is working closely, was very, very appreciative and continues to collaborate with us in terms of addressing the multiple challenges faced by that sector.
Member for Couva South.
Madam Chair, under 083 nationwide awareness of workplace rights and responsibilities, there's a program that is called, I see it on the television, Laborville. Is this covered under this particular line item? And if so, how much has been expended in this particular program?
Madam Chair, Laborville, yes. And I'm happy to know that my Member of Parliament has been viewing the work of the ministry in that context.
Couva South, are you finished?
No, I just asked how much does this Laborville program cost in terms of under the allocation?
We don't have that figure readily available, but we undertake to convey it in writing.
Why I continue to ask
Infrastructure Development
some
Fund.
things in writing too.
Page 212, item 005, multi-sectoral and other services. Page 212 in the same book. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $372,450,800 for Head 30, Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $372,450,800 for Head 30, Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, now stands part of the schedule. Thank you, Madam Minister. Thank you, PS and the other technocrats in the ministry. Head 11, Registration, Recognition and Certification Board. Head 11, Registration, Recognition and Certification Board, $4,500,000. Bring it down. I will now invite the Minister of Finance to make a brief opening statement not exceeding 5 minutes.
Madam Chairman, the Registration, Recognition and Certification Board is established by statute and is responsible for the certification of trade unions as well as matters relating to decertification and other issues related to the certification of trade unions.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $4,500,000 for Head 11, Registration, Recognition and Certification Board, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $4,500,000 for Head 11, Registration, Recognition and Certification Board, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. We now at page 52, subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, item 001, General Administration, page 52. Member for Couva South.
Just a very simple question to the Minister. Under 06 remuneration to board members, Mr. Minister, does this mean that there's been an addition to the board in terms of the complement of board members?
No.
Doesn't. So what the 47,000 increase? Has the board been reclassified?
No.
So what is the justification for the increase?
It's just an appropriate allocation to deal with the expected expenditure to the board, members of the board. Sometimes you have more than you require. Sometimes you have less than you require. Sometimes you have exactly the correct amount. So it's an appropriate allocation to deal with the expenditure of the board.
So
that's all.
So could foresee in terms of how many board members attend meetings going forward, Mr. Minister? Because this deals specifically with remuneration to board members.
Which line item is it? Just a minute. But the difficulty I'm having, the revised estimate for 2017 was 528,000. The estimate for 2018 is 575,000. The difference is only 47,000.
And that's,
So what's the problem?
I guess I'm asking a very
The Budgets Division of the Ministry of Finance, in consultation with this entity, has determined that this is an appropriate allocation for this head. What's the problem?
It's not a problem. I'm just seeking clarification, Mr. Minister, in the context of whether there has been an addition to the board or in terms of the numbers. That is all. Nobody's in any way having any problems with
We are
the
of the view
the
that
board.
this is an appropriate allocation for payments to members of the board. We believe so. Okay?
And that is final because you believe
And
so.
any surplus funds, if such exist, will be returned to the consolidated fund.
Okay, and you are committed to value for money.
There is
Thank
no
you.
problem. We're happy with this.
Subhead 02, Goods and Services, page 52. Item 001, General Administration, pages 52 and 53. Subhead 03, Minor Equipment Purchases, page 53, item 001, General Administration, page 53. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $4,500,000 for Head 11, registration, recognition, and certification board stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $4,500,000 for Head 11, registration, recognition, and certification board now stands part of the schedule. I thank the representatives of the board, and I thank the minister. Honorable members, I wish to commend you for your cooperation, tenacity, steadfastness over this week. May I wish you all a peaceful and peace-filled weekend. This standing Finance Committee is suspended to Monday. Monday.